Everybody is Shy Panther of Shy Panther and Friends. Thank you so much for checking out our video. Make sure you subscribe and share and go to our website at shypanthermediagroup.org. Leave your email, subscribe so that we can reach out to you. Thank you ever so much. And on the website, there you can scroll all the way down, find out how you can donate to the show. And plus, there are other ways that you can support us, like sharing the page whenever you see our postings, like them, and of course, share again. Let us know that you're there, and every little thing that you do to help us become more, known, that's great for us, and we'll be able to bring you greater programming. Thank you so much again. Enjoy the video. Reach out to me at shypanthermedia@gmail. Let me know how you like the show and some of the things that you like to have featured. Thank you. God bless.
All right, everybody, we are here. Welcome to Shy Panther and Friends. Tonight is Thursday. I almost said January. Woo! August 27, 2020 is 7:35 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you for joining the show with us tonight. Please share and like the page. And if this is your first time ever checking out Shy Panther and Friends, I just want you to know that the whole reason that we're here is to provide quality programming, and I believe in telling our story ourselves and helping to promote our businesses and all the great things that we're doing in our lives. So, and another reason that we're here, our goal is to uplift, to educate, and empower. So I hope that we've been doing that for you. And please reach out to me at shypanthermedia@gmail and let me know what you think about the show. All right. So my panel tonight, I have Clarence Thomas, and he can tell you about himself, and I have Marcella Johnson, and they're here each week helping me to hold the show down. And we have special guest Jamil Warren, and he is the founder of Vital Care Life Insurance, and he's going to be talking to you everything insurance. And just go ahead and shoot your questions to us on the chat. And again, thank you. And just so you know, there are many ways that you can support the show other than monetary. But if you do decide that any amount is greatly appreciated, you can support us by PayPal. .me/ShyPanther, and also just simply by just sharing the page, and when you see something from us appear, just like it and reshare it so that other folks can get to know who we are and what we're about. And then you can go to our website at shypanthermediagroup.org and subscribe. And we also have a YouTube, so I'll give you more information about that instead of using all our talk time to promote and where we are and where you can find us. I will post that later. All righty. So, Clarence Thomas, in case the people don't know who you are by now, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Clarence Thomas. I'm not the judge, so I don't want to get anybody confused. I'm a retired Chicago police sergeant. I'm also retired from the Office of Emergency Management, where I was Deputy Director in charge of police and fire dispatch operations. And currently, I'm just taking it easy.
Mario. That's nice, Clarence. I like that, taking it easy. All right, Marcella Johnson.
Hi, everyone. I'm MJ, and I'm glad to be here tonight. And Mr. Warren is so excited to be able to meet you and be on the same show with you. I have a ton of questions for you because I need to know about insurance. Hopefully, I'll be retiring from the city soon. I am the owner and the creator, and Black-owned as always, Taylor B's Beard Oil and MJ Healthy Me, health and wellness site that I have, .com. So I'm excited to be here tonight every week. And I am your resident rebel, MJ.
All right. Welcome, Jamil Warren. How are you?
I'm great. How you doing? You can hear me clearly?
Yes. Yes, I can. Before we get started, did you have any trouble getting on through with the computer too, or you just didn't even bother?
No, no, I didn't have any problems. They logged right on for me.
Oh, well, okay. I'm going to double check to see what's actually going on. All right. So, a little bit about how I met Jamil. I was thinking about retirement and I needed to review my insurance coverage. So, I was shocked. Actually, I should have known better, but I was really surprised to find out that I didn't have what I needed, what I wanted and needed. And, I've been working for 20 and a half years with the city. And at this point, I'm changing my insurance over to what I really need. So I felt really disappointed about that. And I thought if I've done something like that, then many of us probably have. And it's always a great thing to invest and to learn what you need early, like when you're young, so that by now you can have things pretty much set for how you would like them to be. So, Jamil, you can share a little bit about your background. Now, Jamil, he has very interesting background as far as what you did before you started doing insurance and how you got into
Yeah,
it. Okay.
yes. Well, of course, I came from actually a whole different background. I came from being a custodial manager at the local courthouse here in my hometown in Pensacola, Florida. I used to run my own cleaning business, and I did that for 3 to 4 years as well. But what was happening here in my community is what I feel like is happening in a lot of communities. You hear about the different life insurance, and unfortunately, a lot of our people do not like to read, we don't take the time to read, or being the fact that it's one of those subjects we don't want to indulge in, we kind of shy away from having to talk about it too much. So therefore, we don't understand everything when it pertains to life insurance. So I started hearing a lot about different policies weren't paying out, and I wanted to find out why. So I started reading and doing my research, and I found out why, and that was my motivation to getting in the insurance business.
Okay. So now you have an interesting in as far as how you became an independent owner. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Yes, well, I started my business, Vital Care Life Insurance, under the brokerage firm of National Care Financial Group, which most people know him as Malcolm M.J. Harris. So I partnered with him, one of his team members, and thankfully, I'm the top agent in the company now. So it's been a blessing helping a lot of people, educating. That's what's number one for me. Even if you don't take out anything, that doesn't really, God take care of me. I do what's best for my clients, and therefore I'm always receiving, those blessings right back to me. So that's my number one goal, is to making sure that when I do speak to clients, that you understand exactly what you are getting and what you are taking out.
Okay. Well, some of my questions were kind of general, like what's the difference between whole life and term life? But I've talked to you at length about those type of things, and I kind of want to refer to Marcella, if we can start out with some of the questions that you may have for Jamil.
Sure. Some of the questions he kind of already went over, how he got started. I was interested in how did you get started and why the interest in the insurance industry, and the introduction of it, which you said, MJ Harris. I do follow him on Instagram. I love him. He's very knowledgeable, whimsical. He's also, it's just nice to see such a young man that has built up, to me, an empire in this industry, in consulting. But one of the questions I do have for you, do you find that it's difficult to introduce insurance to African Americans, Blacks? And also, who's your client base? Is it more millennial, or you have a variety of client base? And there's still stigmas. I watched your interview with Gail from earlier this year, and one of the things you said was growing up, You didn't open the door for the whole witnesses, nor did you open the door for the insurance people. And that was true, even growing up, you know, when I was young, because I was born in the 60s, but that is true. You didn't open up the door for them. And it seems that we never believed in insurances, you know, and you come from a family where now when someone passes away, everybody has to pitch in because nobody likes to pay for insurance. They think it's not necessary. So with your platform, how do you get engaged with African Americans, and how do you get them engaged with not just knowing insurance, I mean, giving them the information, but really just buying it, because it's still a problem among us. It's definitely a problem among us.
Yes, unfortunately, it is a very, very, very big problem. And sadly, I think it kind of will always be. We're getting better. But to answer both of your questions, my clientele really ranges from 40 to 65. I get some clients older than that, you know, some in the 70s and things of that nature, but no, not really the millennials, because of course, let's just be honest, no one's thinking about life insurance at that age. So my ideal client is from 40 to 65. Yes, when it comes to introducing life insurance to our community, it can be challenging. So what I do is I just make sure that I educate. I make sure that I do videos on different policies, and I just post them. And I let them listen and make the decision for themselves. So I don't try to throw nothing down someone's throat. I don't try to inbox them. I don't harass people because I don't like to be harassed. So again, I just like to document it, record it, put it out there, let the clients hear the video, and I'm certain that it will strike something in them. And if they have any questions, they always come to me, and I inform them and educate them from that point on.
Okay. Well, I saw a couple of your videos where you were addressing the types of insurance that people bought and thought that they were sufficiently covered, and they found out that they weren't. And that's the reason why I always ask the differences between whole life, term life, and you know some of the others that you see, because some are mail order, and now
Yeah.
we're all over the internet and everything else. So people are offering you all these things, but if you don't know what you're purchasing, even if you have insurance and you're not sufficiently covered, it's not going to mean a thing. It's not going to help you at all that day that might need it.
Correct. So I know what video that you're referring to, so I'm gonna make sure that I address I'm gonna make sure that I address that video. But
Okay.
what I always try to encourage people is to read your policies. The agent that you work with is just not that one-time transaction. It should not just be that one-time transaction. So a year from now, 2 years from now, if you have some free time, if you're looking through your policy and there's something in there that you do not understand, get back to your agent. Do not sit up and wait for a family member to die, or for you to die rather, and just think that, oh, my family will handle it then, because it's something while you was alive you probably could have prevented from happening. So the video that you're referring to is those policies that are called accidental death policies. Now, there's a difference between an accidental death policy and an accidental death rider. So I'm gonna break down the two. The rider, if you have on a policy, so let's say if you have a $50,000 policy with an accidental death rider attached to it, that means that if the person dies of natural causes, they will get the $50,000. However, if you have an accidental death rider attached to it, if the person died of an accident, the policy will double. So then they will get $100,000. So that's the rider. What I encourage people to be aware of is the policies. You do not want an accidental death policy only, unless you have it as a supplemental policy or anything of that nature. And that's because if you die of natural causes, it is not going to pay out. Those policies will only pay out if you die of an accident. That's why I was ranting the way that I was on the videos, because those policies are very cheap. And I was just telling people, let's be realistic. It doesn't even sound realistic for you to have $1 million of coverage and you 60 years old and paying $30. And I'm like, that should be a red flag. It doesn't sound right. Clearly, you know something is not right. And a lot of times people do have that explained to them, but we just don't take it serious. We feel like, oh, I just deal with it a couple of years from now. I'll put something else in place. And then, of course, if your family member dies of a heart attack or anything natural causes, your family gets absolutely nothing. So that means that you was paying for a policy that did not pay out in the end.
Okay, now we talked a lot about sometimes, as our life goes on, things change, and you did say a lot of your clients are between like 40 and 65. So and by that time, a lot of folks may have developed different health problems. So is there is it more difficult to get life insurance, or would it cost more at that point if you have just maybe what most of the population may have high blood pressure by that time, um, diabetes, maybe pre-diabetic by that time, or overweight, or some of those things. Does that increase the likelihood that you will have to pay a lot more? You'll be put through a whole lot just to even purchase a policy?
Yes, it can, depending on you and your situation. So high blood pressure is not going to get you a higher rating. Diabetes will. You will be rated higher. So you will pay more. Let's say if you have a 50-year-old without diabetes. If you're 50 years old and you are diabetic, then of course your policy, you're going to pay more. You're going to have a higher premium. If you're overweight, depending upon how overweight you are, that can definitely make a huge significant difference on the policy that you may qualify for, because you may only qualify for a guaranteed issue policy, and those policies are typically the policies that seniors have to get because their health is either terribly bad, they have terminal illnesses, or they're just extremely out of weight. So to answer your question, the age, of course, when it comes to life insurance, the premium is based upon your age and your health. So of course, the older you are, the more expensive your policy is going to be. Now, you still can get something within your price range. It may not be what you desire, but you still can find something that is affordable for you. But if you have some pre-existing issues, depending upon what they are, you still will be able to get approved for a policy as long as you haven't been hospitalized a lot in the last 2 years.
Okay. Questions? Any Clarence or Marcelo, you have questions for him?
Yeah, one of the things that I'm aware of is the fact that as people get older, they have a tendency to want to get enough insurance so that when they ultimately pass away, they won't be a financial burden to the family members that they leave behind. And they can, do you deal with insurance? Do you deal with burial type insurances, or do you strictly deal with whole or different types of life insurance?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I deal with them all. I deal with the burial insurance. That's another term for a guaranteed issue, which is what I was mentioning earlier. Guaranteed issue and burial, they're pretty much, they're the same thing, just two different terms, two different titles that people call them.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we do deal with those. I definitely deal with those. So to answer your question, when it comes to people getting older, you always want to try to put it in place as early as possible, because again, depending upon how old you are and depending upon your health, those burial policies and guaranteed issue policies, a lot of times the max that you can get on those is $25,000. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times people wait, and thinking that, well, I've waited to this age, I'm gonna try to get a policy because my health is not looking too good. I don't think I'm gonna make it another 3 or 4 years. And they found out that the cap that they can get is $25,000. So again, it definitely depends upon that older person, because everyone's health is different. I've dealt with some people that were 70 years old and their health actually shocked me. They only had high blood pressure, and that was the only thing. Because I see some 50-year-olds or 40-year-olds that has a list of medication like this. So again, the main thing is going to be the health when it comes to dealing with a client for life insurance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, right now I'm trying to get my kids to understand that they should get life insurance and they should get whole life so that it can build up a return on the investment that they're putting into that life insurance policy. And
Yes,
if
sir.
they're interested in leaving something behind for their children, they can do that through a whole life policy as opposed to the other kinds.
Yes, sir. That is absolutely true. Because if you get a term policy, depending upon the age that you take it out, the max term policy that you can get is 30 years. But you have to keep in mind, you no longer qualify for 30 years once you hit 51 years old. So you'll have to be 50 or younger to qualify for 30 years. If you're over 51, then you'll only be able to get a 20-year term policy. And if you're 61 and older, then you'll only qualify for a 15. So it gets shorter and shorter and shorter as you get older. And you're just pretty much taking a gamble when it comes to those policies because, like you mentioned earlier, not only you're not building any cash value, but it's not going to last. It's going to eventually expire at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, for the people who don't understand what a whole life policy is versus a term life, I know pretty much you explained it, but just can you like make it clear? Because I
Yeah.
think for a lot of folks that might not be so greatly clear.
So when it comes to whole life and term, so I like to put it like this. When you hear whole life, you want to think of permanent. And when you hear term, you just want to think temporary. Again, depending upon where you fall at age-wise, when it comes to a term policy, the max is going to be 30 years if you're 50 and younger. And that just simply means that you have a life insurance policy that is good for 30 years only. If you do not pass within that 30-year time, if you pass within that 30-year time frame, your beneficiary will get paid out. If you live over the 30 years, that policy is going to expire and it is not going to pay out whatsoever. So if you take a term policy out of 30 years at 25 years old, when it expires, then now you're just 30 years older and you're going to have to get a new policy at that time frame. So that's why it's temporary. Okay?
So if somebody bought a term policy for 30 years and they don't die in those 30 years, what would you recommend that they do instead of just losing the whole body of the policy?
Yes, that's why it's very important that they understand the difference between whole and term. Because whenever you take that whole life policy out, whatever your premium is going to stay that way all the way. You don't have to worry about it expiring or your premium ever increasing. Term policies a lot are put in place for mortgage protection and things of that nature. So let's say if you were married and your husband was the breadwinner and you had 20 years left on your mortgage and you know that you wouldn't be able to afford your housing anymore had you lost your husband. So what they would do is they would put a term policy in place for the amount of the mortgage. So if your husband passed within that 20 years, you'll be able to get that money and pay your home off. Well, if you don't pass within that 20 years, you're not going to care because the mortgage will be paid off. That's why a lot of times people use term policies because, again, it's for a specific amount of time. Only God knows when any of us are going to be called home. So that's why I say you're taking a gamble when you get a term policy for your life.
Okay. All right. So well, that makes it crystal clear to me. You guys have any questions regarding what Jamil just said about the whole life and term life and that the mortgage protection that term life policy offers? Any additional questions for him?
No, I'm good. Well, I guess maybe he could share. Maybe he could share just a little bit. I know, Gail, you had asked him earlier about dealing with African Americans and life insurance because we look at life insurance entirely different than a lot of people, other people look at life insurance and the purpose of the advantage of having it. And what I would like to ask Jamal is whether or not you really have a difficult time. I know you kind of explained that you just show them the video and let them see it and then kind of let them make up their own mind. But do you find that they may have already have a preconceived idea about what life insurance is about, and they may not necessarily get questions answered or really understand just by looking at or reviewing a video?
Yes, yes. So to answer your question, again, for me, I make sure that I post my videos and I let them decide. However, when it does come to our community, unfortunately, we like to look at life insurance like as if it's a problem. And we like to we don't look at life insurance as a necessity. And it's most definitely a necessity. We think that we have all this time. We think that we're not old enough, or we think that we're too young to have it in place. And we just think that we have all this time on our side. And I'll share this for an example. I had a lady in her 40s that had a policy for her mom. She had it in place for 2 months and she let it lapse. A month after that, her mom was diagnosed with cancer. So the policy was lapsed and she could not get that same policy back in place because, again, she let the policy lapse. And this is why I try to stress over and over and over again that life insurance is not only it's a necessity, it's very important. Your health is going to determine the amount of coverage you can get, and you want to get it in place while your health is as best as it is, so that you can have a good premium. But when it comes to our community, again, we will spend money on concerts and everything else, and flights and vacation. We feel like we'll worry about our life insurance later. Where other communities and other cultures, they'll let their cell phone get turned off before they let their life insurance lapse. They will not. That is one of their number one thing. They're going to make sure they pay their life insurance bill. So I really feel like that the community is getting better, but we definitely have ways to go, for sure.
Yeah. They treated that's part of their generational wealth that they create.
Yeah.
It is.
And we have to understand that concept.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They take it out early too. A lot of the cultures, they take it out early and they make sure they maintain it and they keep it in place and they pass it down. Where our people, we want to put something in place at the last minute for the funeral costs. So you say, oh, just give them $10,000. That's enough. Just do whatever you want. That's just a mentality that our people have. And I understand there is so much stuff is going on, especially like this viral story with, I love Miss Robbie Montgomery from Sweetie Pies. And I understand a lot of times our people like to use situations like that for an example on why they don't like to get life insurance policies, but there's absolutely no excuse, because there are things that you can put in place and that you can get in place for yourself that you can leave for your children.
Yeah. Well, I have a question, several questions. Can you just explain a little bit about universal life and whole life and why it's important to get it early? Because I have a millennial and her thing is, well, I can take that amount of money and just put it in a savings account, but a savings or an investment. And we know that with premiums anyway, that these insurances, they are investments, but they don't give the return. And I think the way she looks at it is they don't give the return like an actual investment account. But my thing is just with what just happened with this pandemic, you can have a setback with the stock market as we did and lose money, which I did. So I believe in insurances. It's not so much to the fact that you're leaving anything, and we should, and this is how generational wealth is done, because I was told by a financial planner when it came to him, he specifically said when it comes to white people, what they do is they'll have a family of 3, and all 3 of them will take insurance policies out on each other, And when one passes away, if they have college-age children, they use that money for kids to go to college, or the one that passed away, they'll use that money for his wife to maintain a home or sell the home or whatever that family needs. So this is how they pass this down. And my other question also too is, what are some of the best insurance companies? Because I look at insurance companies, other insurance companies, not typical of State Farm and Allstate, but places, companies like Northwest, New York Life, AIL, Chubb, MetLife. What do you think about those insurances, and are they favorable to Blacks?
Yeah, so
I know it's a lot, but
yeah, so the companies that I like, it's a lot, but I know the number 2 companies that I can tell you that are good companies is a company by the name of American National. That's a very, very, and the second company is by the name of National Life Group. They're also a very, very, very good life insurance company as well. So to pick back up on your very first question, I know you said that your daughter mentioned something about the investments and things of that nature, that they can just save the money. And this is the thing, it's way more easier said than done. A lot of people say that they're going to save, and that's the reason why they get those term policies. And when the term policy expires 30 years from now, you haven't saved anything, and you don't have anything at all. Versus had you had a life insurance policy that was saving the money for you, you know that it was safe and secure. So you mentioned about the difference between the whole life policies and the universal life insurance policies. So the universal life insurance policies is a permanent plan as well. So it does not expire, and it does build cash value, just like the whole life. The difference is the universal cash account is attached into the S&P 500. So they're investing your money in the stock for you with the universal policy. Okay, so that policy there can get anywhere up to almost 12%, depending upon the carrier that you go with, on your cash each year that is being built up within that particular plan. That is a universal plan for the people that like to invest in things of that nature. The traditional whole life policy has a set rating. Again, depending upon which carrier you go with, it may be 3% each year, 5% each year, for some people that don't like the, the flexible, or the flex or the premium going up and down, or anything of that nature. So again, just to run it by you again, the traditional whole life policy builds cash value, but you're going to have a set interest rate that you're going to get on that cash. The universal life is attached into the S&P 500. And let's say worst case scenario, you don't lose any money, because it's protected with something that is called the floor, which means that it has a zero cap. So you won't lose anything if the stock market crashes. But if it does great, you can get anywhere up to almost 12% on your investments that is attached to that policy.
Okay. Now, is there a set year? Because the one I have, I was told my set year would be 15 years, which will hit my 65th year, which will hit me at 65 years old. Is there a set year?
There is no
universal.
It really can depend on how it was set up.
Well, it was set up so that I could also use the cash value when I can kind of use it now, because you can borrow against it or take it, but it'll lower the value of the face value of your policy. But also too, it was set up as well as when you get older, you can use the cash value or reinvest the cash value back again. And I was told that at that point the policy is paid for, so I could do whatever with the policy.
Correct. So again, each carrier is different, and I'm happy that you brought that up, because I want to make sure that I mention that the universal policy that I was speaking on is a policy that is called an index universal life insurance policy. It is an index policy because they have all kinds of universal. There are signature, guaranteed universal. There's so many different kinds. So if anyone watching this that's interested in that policy that I was speaking on, it is an index plan.
Right, that's what I have, an index plan. So that's part of the S&P, and you can your cap is 12%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you
Yes.
don't lose that money whether the market fluctuates or not.
Yes, because it's protected with the feature that is called the floor. So you cannot lose any money whatsoever. So worst case scenario, if it crashed that year, you just wouldn't get any interest on the money that was saved that year.
Okay. And for a young person, that would be ideal for them at this time because they can keep their policy for the rest of their life.
Correct. Correct.
Now, one other question I want to add with these policies, say for instance, you go, I was looking at the video, say for instance, that you go into a disability, something happens. Will that face value of that policy be given to you? You can use that face value of that policy and not just the cash value if you
Yes.
have to?
Yes, if you have the policy with living benefits, and again, that's going to depend upon your health when you took that policy out, because sometimes they will approve you for the policy and they may deny you of the living benefits depending upon the pre-existing conditions that you had when you first took it out. But if you have the benefits, that money is paid out to you from the face amount, not your cash value. So they don't touch your cash value, that is yours. But let's say if you had a policy of $100,000, yes, some of that money can be paid out to you while you're alive through living benefits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Gail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which companies that you want?
Yeah. See, I told you Marcella was loaded.
Yeah, you did. You did. She invests wisely and widely. But I wanted to ask when you said whether the Clarence is too much, whether the policy, whether you will offer the living benefits, what determines whether you are or not offer in the index universal life?
So the living benefits can come with any policy. It can come with a term policy, universal, or a whole life policy. So that is going to depend upon your health at that time. So there's not really specific ones that can decline you. A lot of times, if it's high blood pressure, they may not decline you of that. If you were just recently diagnosed with diabetes, depending upon how your history has been. So it's a client specific. It really depends upon your health because again, we can't call it a long-term disability rider, but if you look at it, that's basically what living benefits are because they say if you were to ever have a chronic or critical illness, you'll be able to file a claim on your policy and get it paid out to you while you're alive.
Okay. Well, then I think I need to like revisit. I'll have to make an appointment with you. And plus, I think that it's a good idea to always review your policies. And what do you think, Jamil? How often should you look at it?
I always say, depending upon has anything changed in your financial situation. I do not like to encourage people to try to change anything and getting something that is more expensive, and then you wind up losing it because you can't keep it. So if something changes in your finances where you feel like you can afford more, then you may want to consider taking out something additional or maybe replacing that policy with a much larger one. But if you have any questions about the policy, it doesn't matter when it is. You don't need to wait a year from now. You need to go ahead and contact your agent as soon as possible.
Okay, so I guess that's my question. Just understanding a little bit more, and also I'm thinking about like my grandkids and purchasing something for them, so that something that they could have and that they could use for college, you know. And I guess that's part of those living benefits that you could use towards some college costs. Yeah.
Well, the savings portion that they'll be able to use. Living benefits is that if you were to have a terminal, chronic, or critical illness while having your policy. See, the policies of old used to only pay out if you died. But now the new policies have the living benefits, which will pay out to you while you're alive if you were to get terminal or chronically ill.
Okay, and as far as paying for college, that's the savings component of the policy.
Yeah, correct. The cash account that you'll be able to take the money out of.
Okay. Okay. Um, any, any other questions, guys?
I do.
We'll go
Yeah,
right.
what I wanted to know is how long have you been? How long have you? I know you own your own company. How long have you been in business?
My agency have been in force for over 2.5 years now.
Oh,
But I
okay.
studied the industry about 2 years before I came in.
Okay, good. So what is your, you have a vast market of different culture people, and I want to ask, do you think in this industry that we're redlined, we pay more for insurances? Is it because of where we live? I know a lot of stuff is based on our zip code and we're redlined in that manner. Are we, why is it so hard to be afforded a $500,000 policy as an African American? Because I have had to experience that, and I know that I can afford one, but I wanted to know: are we truly redlined? I believe that we are. Are we truly redlined in this business? And is this a market for Blacks to be able to fully be in the insurance business in the level that you are as agents and as as an owner?
Yes, yes. No one can rob you of your education. You know, it's a regulated industry. Of course, you have to get your licenses and things of that nature, but no one can rob you of that. To answer your question about the policies, I think a lot of times people, unfortunately, our people again do not believe in trying to take out life insurance until they have gotten a bad report from the doctor. I'm just being honest with you. A lot of times they'll put it in place once they either getting ready to retire or family members have passed, and sometimes that'll have people have their own personal awakening. But a lot of times I see people trying to take out policies like that once they had a very, very, very bad diagnosis. I just seen it here.
Oh, we lost him.
It looks like it. Uh-oh. He has some connection problems. I'm gonna reach out to him and see. See.
Yeah, I mean, my question, I wanted to know: are we redline? Why do we pay so much more for
Yeah.
insurance?
Yeah, depending on our area code, zip code. I know that's true for our car insurance. That much I know. But I'm trying to
Oh, all of it.
yeah. And I'm trying to see what happened. Uh-oh, he'll probably come
You
right back.
know, Marcellus, a lot of times we can get shorted because they have these stipulations on health and so forth, and I think they can use discretions if you tell them that you have certain health issues. They can use that as a way of denying you insurance or telling you that your insurance rate is going to be X number of dollars simply because of your pre-existing condition. Whereas someone else, and you would only notice if you were to talk to someone else of a different persuasion who had the same basic issues that you did, and you were able to find out what their insurance premiums were. But it's possible. I agree
We
with
all
you.
made.
I think it is too.
Okay, there he is.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, what I was asking was, do you think, are we redlined in this industry as far as African Americans? Do we pay more premiums than other cultures of people because of where we live or because of the fact that we're Black?
Hey, hang on 1 second. Somebody has the radio, another device where we're hearing the background of that device, like, is turned up in your background, either your phone or computer or something? Because I can hear the feedback from the other device.
No, that's not me. I don't have anything going.
All right, Jamil, do you have anything over there?
No, I don't have anything. I just connected on my phone.
Okay, I don't know where it's coming from. Okay, well, go ahead.
Not I.
All right, go ahead.
She were asking I think the MJ was asking a question.
Oh, I was asking, are we redlined in this industry? Do we pay more because of our zip code and where we live as Blacks, other than any other race of people? Because they make it, for me, I found that when I wanted to get a $500,000 policy, I mean, the premium was astronomical. And I've had conversations with people that are not, well, white people who are not African American who don't pay that amount of money, you know.
Yeah.
And this is when I was seeking out insurances, because the one I have right now is through Ameriprise. But before that, I was seeking out other insurance companies other than, you know, because I saw that commercial select quote. So I called the number and I was looking for other companies besides State Farm and Allstate and American Insurance, American Life Insurance. You know, I didn't want those typical companies. I wanted the companies that were not well known, which I knew had better policies that would, you know, that would fit my criteria, what I really wanted. But
Yes, ma'am.
when because I even had AIL come to my home, but when you want those type of policies, you're paying through the nose.
Yes. Yeah. So again, those policies is really a very, very, very big difference between a term policy and when you get a policy that is building a lot of money, which is why I was referencing earlier. So you want to try to take it out as early as possible, because when you wait and you get a permanent policy in place, that premium is not only paying for the insurance, but when you have that savings portion, it's always going to be double. To answer your question about the red line, I don't believe so, because whenever I work with, you know, a lot of us, and I work with a lot of them too. The quoting system don't know. You know, the quote, you just put in the name, the date of birth in there, and that's how you're able to give a quote. So it doesn't ask anything about, you know, the race or anything of that nature whenever you're doing a quote whatsoever. But I think a lot of it is us not understanding the difference between that permanent insurance and the term insurance, because you can get $500,000 of term coverage for a little of nothing. You probably can pay $100 or $150 for that. But if you're in your 50s and you're trying to take out $500,000 on a permanent plan, especially an index plan, because that is the best permanent policy that you can have, they build the most cash value, then yes, it's going to be up there, depending upon what age you took it out.
Well, it was around, it was me and my husband. We were 7 years of age. And this was like right after our kids were born. So we wanted a big policy so that we could leave residual income to them. And at that time, I think they wanted like $400 and some a month for it. It was a lot.
Yeah. So nothing was wrong with, no one had any pre-existing conditions, no anything? No. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Not at that time. And we figured they had to be looking at the zip code like they do with auto insurance. They look at the
now
zip
that's
code.
true for auto insurance. Auto insurance, they definitely look at the zip code.
So, and my other question was, is this a good market for African Americans to work in, like yourself?
I believe so. There's a lot of us in the industry now. To me, honestly, I just try to tell people whether they African American or not. You just want to feel the vibe. You want to make sure that they are explaining things to you and not just trying to run something, you know, over you and try to hurry up and get you to sign a document. But yes, it's a lot of African Americans in the industry now. But you want to make sure that they're knowledgeable and they're not, you know, just selling you something that they think. You want to test their knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also,
Yeah, but you have to do your own homework too, so that people won't do that. You know, you have to do your own homework as well.
But a lot of
When
times
you're
you
when
can't do your homework until you get your policy, which is why I was stating earlier that when people get your policy, you just don't want to put it in a drawer and never look at it. Because sometimes people have been paying on insurance for 30 years, and then they have a conversation with me, and I'm thinking, how have you had this document for 30 years and you just now read it? That's a long time to be paying for something.
Right, right, right. No, I'm saying when you're going into insurance, because we have the internet now, you do a little homework to see what's a good policy for you. And then, I mean, not see what, but what's out there. And like I was saying with my daughter, she's interested in getting insurance. So she has questions and she's doing her research before she interacts with an agent, so she'll know exactly what she wants. You know what I'm saying? And I think
Correct.
people should do it. But more importantly, like you say, educating people to know that they need insurance, and it's not just to bury someone. We actually have to have insurance just to live. You know,
Correct.
even disability insurance, because you just never know when it may happen. You
Yes,
know?
yes. And I agree wholeheartedly, because I know that a licensed professional can play on intelligence, especially those from the other culture. They know that our culture don't believe in paying for life insurance like that, which is why they was very big with selling us term policies.
Yes.
Because they were playing against our intelligence, because they knew that, oh, I can sell them a $300,000 policy and they'll be paying $80 a month, and you jumping up and down because you're thinking that you have a deal. See, they knew not to try to sell you a traditional whole life policy where you can build some money, because they know that you're going to say no to that, because you're going to be paying a nice premium for that. So a lot of times when our people would come in contact with a white agent, a lot of times they would never even mention nothing about a permanent policy, because they automatically assume they're not serious. They're not going to want to take out nothing like that. So let me sell them a term policy, because I can easily get them to buy that. Yes.
okay. Now I wanted to say too, Marcella, you said something about the people going into insurance as far as working in insurance, but I think that I like the idea of creating that insurance industry as a professional and as a career rather than just a job. And that may be why we have so many problems with people that we encounter who are only agents just selling us something just so that they can, for their own interest rather than yours. So,
Right, that's what I was referring to. Yeah.
Yes, you see a lot of that. I can, oh my God, I lost count of how many times I've spoken to people and their agent is not even in the business anymore. They may have surrendered their license, they've lost their license. So yeah, that can be one of those things. People come in the industry for the wrong reason. You know, if you don't have a heart for people, if you don't have a heart of really getting the education yourself, then this is not the business for you, because it's not a real easy business to be in, because you're dealing with people, and it's a subject that a lot of people, especially the Black culture, do not like to discuss at all.
Wow.
okay. Well, we're winding down to the end of the show. And Jamil, how can people get in touch with you if they want to discuss purchasing coverage?
Yes, well, you can reach me. Well, I'm having my website redone because it used to be yourvitalcare.com, but we're switching everything to jamilwarren.com. And you can follow me on Instagram at Jamil Warren and at Facebook at Jamil Warren as well.
Okay, cool. All righty. Thank you so much. Now, I just want to say to
Any
our
other questions?
listeners and our viewers that you really, it's on us. We really have to take care of ourselves, and we have to prepare ourselves for the future, and that means from our babies on up. So as soon as we can, we really need to sit down and you know, seriously look at our insurance coverage, whether we have it or not. It's time to get covered, because you don't want to wait until that moment. I mean, we never know what day or what moment might be someone's last. So it's very important that we take care of that as soon as possible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now Clarence, you wanted to add something?
No, I'm good. I enjoyed the conversation, and I got some things I can share with my little bubblehead children. Well, they aren't children anymore; they all adult. But I can share some things with them.
Okay. All right, Jamil Warren of Vital Care Life Insurance. Thank you so much for spending this hour with us. And it's always a pleasure to speak with you. You have it down for me. So I know I know I'll be happy to bring more people your way and to share the information as well. So
Thank you for extending the invitation again for the second time. So I'm certain we'll be doing this again soon.
yeah,
Yeah.
because we're just trying to help the people stay aware, and it seems like the only way you can do that every like 5 6 months, come back and say it again. You know.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, you have to keep putting the information and the education out there. Sometimes people may not look the first time, they may not look the second time, so that's why we have to keep putting it out there.
Absolutely. Yep.
Nice meeting you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, take
Okay.
care.
All right, Shy Panther and friends, viewers, listeners, thank you so much. And again, share the information, like the page, go to the website, go to the YouTube page. Thank you ever so much. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and have a great night, great weekend. God bless.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Good night.
night.